So are you tired of talking about Batman vs. Superman yet? Nah, I didn't think so. 9 major rumors from Batman vs. Superman. Recently, Empire Magazine and Entertainment Weekly released an article talking about Batman vs. Superman. The upcoming movie, mega blockbuster for sure, is going to come out next year, and we are all crazy excited about it. Now, since it's come out, there's been a couple of rumors and reveals about major plot points that have leaked that we, fans like myself, can't help but be excited for. Number 1. Aquaman will only be featured as a cameo. Now, what this means is that Aquaman, instead of having this major role played by Jason Momoa, he's only going to premiere as a character for a brief cameo, and it's going to be very much like the old DC animated TV show where he would be inside of a container when he was tracked by the government and he was holding a trident, and the idea is that there's going to be a close-up only of his hand. So we'll know who he is, according to Zack Snyder, but he won't really have any screen time. Now, this is going to happen not just for Aquaman, but also for the Flash and for Cyborg. Flash is going to be there more only as a blur, apparently. He's going to be running through a convenience store. And Cyborg is going to be there as Victor Stone, the all-time athlete, who's going to get injured somehow, and then he's going to have to go to his father's workshop. He's a scientist, and in this lab, he's going to end up getting interacted with some kind of nanotechnology, which is going to allow him to get the ability to become Cyborg. This is very close to the DC movie Justice League War. The movie was pretty good. Cyborg was pretty awesome. They did a good job of doing his backstory, letting us know who he was, what he wanted from his father in terms of a relationship. Very typical father-son kind of dynamic, but it was nice because they actually played out his character very well. He's been a pretty good addition to the Justice League, in my opinion, making him a front runner. Number 2. Clark will live with Lois, finally. The second reveal is that Clark Kent lives with Lois Lane. All the time I've seen every Superman movie, I've always wanted to see Clark Kent actually live with Lois Lane, moving beyond him just becoming Superman. In 2006, we saw Bryan Singer take Superman back from space and become, again, what we saw in Richard Donner's films. This is the first time we're going to be able to actually see Superman progress as Clark Kent and Superman. He's going to be living with Lois Lane. They're going to have an apartment together. Then this is all, of course, just a rumor, but it's one I'm very excited about. Because if it's true, then we get to see Superman mature beyond his angst and his emotional toil, which they always have him. He's always having some kind of problem. He's always having some kind of inner turmoil because it's really hard to find an outward challenge for him. But if we allow him to move in with Lois Lane, then maybe we'll get some relationship drama too. I mean, who doesn't relate to relationship drama? Everybody. The best part about that is that he'll become more human, more realistic, which Man of Steel is all about, humanizing Superman. Number 3. A whole new take on the Batmobile. So the Batmobile is, of course, one of the most identifying factors of Batman. It's gone through numerous changes over the years. With Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, it's probably, in my opinion, the coolest version of the Batmobile because it's the most functional. It can go on rooftops, it can jump over cliffs, it can do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's a tank. So, with this version of Man of Steel 2, aka Dawn of Justice, Zack Snyder said that he wants to make sure that the Batmobile stays tough and grungy, and that we're going to see the Batmobile as aggressive as we saw in the Dark Knight trilogy, while also having its own version of that. Most people already saw the pictures that have been released due to the leaks from the set footage on Suicide Squad. With that footage, we see that the Batmobile does indeed look a little sleeker, not like a sports car, but not much of a tank compared to the Dark Knight version. I'm still down for it. I still like it, but we'll have to see how he applies it. I think the big thing with Christopher Nolan's version is that it had a lot of application. It wasn't just pretty. So we'll have to see about that. Now, the only thing I'm questioning is that right now, the Batmobile has a machine gun in front of it. Now, I know that's pretty cool, but at the same time, considering that we're going to have a darker Batman, does it mean he's going to actually shoot people or just shoot at people? Because if he shoots at people, then someone's going to get shot, I'm sure, because it's, a machine gun. But we'll see. Number 4. Ben Affleck will be directing the next Batman movie. The next movie to come out of all the Batman movies is supposed to be Ben Affleck directing the Batman in 2018. Now, I am not that opposed to Ben Affleck directing the Batman movie. I mean, there's obviously a lot of studio action going on here. I mean, Ben Affleck being cast as Batman to begin with was obviously some kind of studio contract obligation because he's done so much work with them, with Argo and The Town. He's brought them some critical awards. So it stands to reason that now he has some kind of contract with them for Batman as well. Now, I'm not absolutely opposed to him being the director for the Batman. I mean, he does have a very artistic style. He brings a lot of quality to his films. I would have much chosen him as a director for Batman vs Superman as opposed to him actually playing Batman. The fact that he has a chance to play and direct Batman means that he'll have a different perspective that no other Batman's ever had before. So maybe he'll bring something fresh to the table. The only question is, what will he be doing as Batman? Is it another Joker story? Is he going to be going off against a whole new villain that we've never seen on screen before? How are they going to approach this whole new Batman with all these new villains they're already bringing to the screen? How much of it's going to change? So there's a lot to question. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet, but scratch my head here. Scratching my head. Number 5. We'll be getting an even angrier Batman. So one of the biggest complaints from the Dark Knight trilogy was that Christian Bale always came off as being like really angry. It was always like, blah, 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 blah. What? Blah, 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 Batman. What? So apparently we're going to have an even angrier Batman. Now, even though Ben Affleck's voice doesn't sound as bad because he's using some kind of machine to modulate his voice, the idea is that his Batman is going to be a lot more angry and a lot more aggressive. Now we can see that in the trailer because he branded a person. I mean, that really hurts. He just, kind of put some hot metal on his flesh. That's not right, Batman. It's not right. He's doing this because he's just an angry Batman, and ultimately Superman's going to come and he's bringing Batman a whole new philosophical perspective. He's making him think in a way that he's never really thought before. He's asking him questions like, how much can one person do alone? Is he the threat or am I the threat? Batman's supposed to be apparently in some kind of midlife crisis in his 40s, and now Superman comes, this guy with all new powers, so the threat is a lot bigger than just in Gotham. It's going to be really cool to see how Batman deals with that, but that does mean that we're going to have a much angrier Batman. So I'm not quite sure we should be putting a Gatling gun on his Batmobile. Maybe some Ritalin instead? I think that'd be a better idea. Yeah. Number 6. No Jim Gordon, just Ellen Yindel. So one of the biggest parts of the Batman mythos is obviously Commissioner Gordon. Now, he was definitely one of my favorite actors from the Dark Knight trilogy. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic. But the idea is that Jim Gordon in this universe is going to be dead. If you ever saw the Dark Knight Returns movies, you'll see that there is no Jim Gordon. Yindel has replaced Jim Gordon. Now, she wasn't bad. She just didn't really do anything to elevate the film, in my opinion. I mean, Jim Gordon has an investment with audiences. Thanks to the portrayal from the Dark Knight trilogy by Gary Oldman, who brought the character such depth that we have never really seen him before. He was completely thrown away in all the Tim Burton's movies. In this version, we're not going to have that guy anymore. So it stands to reason that that whole connection that we established between Batman and Gotham because of Jim Gordon and the police force just won't exist here. Hopefully, whoever plays Ellen Yindel will absolutely bring that character to life. I'm thinking that that's who Holly Hunter is playing, but I can't really say for sure. But if she is playing it, then I like Holly Hunter a lot. I kind of trust in her acting. She's a good voice actor, we know that for sure. But hopefully she's been given enough to say and to do to really bring this new commissioner to life. Number 7, Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince love. And the DC animated series, one of my favorite parts about that was that Batman was obviously interested in Wonder Woman and she was obviously interested in him too. Now I thought that was really awesome because Batman is just a mortal. I mean, he's not Superman, for crying out loud. So for Wonder Woman to actually like him meant that she was all for dating a normal person. As a kid, that said to me, well, I could find someone like Wonder Woman and she'll like me too. If I was a billionaire and if I had a utility belt and a Batcave and a Batmobile and a sidekick and a butler. But the best part about it is that it makes Batman seem a lot more human. Now this is really important because he is a humanized version of Batman. In Zack Snyder's universe, everything is more humanized. So for Batman and Wonder Woman to be potentially dating instead of Superman and Wonder Woman, like we see in the New 52, then this makes everyone a lot more connected to the characters, and it seems like any guy in the audience could potentially get a character like Wonder Woman if they really wanted to, and if they had a Batcave and a utility belt and a sidekick and a Batmobile. Number 8, Suicide Squad is set to be Bat-centric. And the last big rumor to come out is that Suicide Squad is going to be really heavily Batman oriented. Now this isn't really a problem because, in my opinion, that'll make it a lot easier to connect the story with all the Suicide Squad villains, or anti-heroes in this case. Because Batman is the one that's going to be the one that put them all in prison. So if that's the case, then Batman is going to be the unifying factor. And what I'm thinking is that there'll probably be a lot of flashbacks where all the characters are going to reminisce about how Batman put them into prison, and then you're going to be able to kind of relate to why they were locked up in the first place. And some characters are probably going to have some kind of sob story like Sandman back in Spider-Man 3 where it wasn't their fault, and then others are going to be just downright crazy like Harley Quinn. Nonetheless, we're going to be able to see that Batman is the one that unifies all of them. It's going to give him a bigger presence. If you haven't seen the Suicide Squad animated movie that came out about 1.5 years ago, I definitely recommend checking that out. They did a really good job of establishing the Suicide Squad characters while also allowing other characters like the Joker and Batman and the Riddler to have their play as well. I think they're going to borrow heavily from that movie. And this time we're going to be able to see Batman a little bit more than we saw in the animated movie, which is really cool. But also, you have to be careful because too much Batman could possibly be a bad thing. Nah, I didn't think so. But let me know what you think. Comment below. Again, also subscribe. I'll have more videos coming soon. So in the meantime, I'll talk to you later and take care.